Week 2 of college football is in the books, and we had some upsets. What can I say? College football never fails to entertain, but we're here to look at which draft-eligible prospects help their stock and hurt their stock. Welcome to the Stock Report. Special thanks to our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for sponsoring today's video. More on them a little bit later. But let's get this sucker started with one of our watch-along games this past weekend, Illinois versus Duke. And Vincent Anthony Jr., the edge out of Duke, definitely stood out. He's coming in at 6'6", 260 pounds, and the dude came away with 3 sacks. He had a win rate of 20%. And going back to the tape, it was a bad day, first of all, for Illinois tackle J.C. Davis, as he got beat twice by Anthony. There was one where Anthony just straight out beat him out of the gates, flat in the corner, got a sack. There was another one where Anthony lined up wide 9 and just sped right by J.C. Davis. You do see some of the, maybe, I guess you would say, the foot quickness concerns. But he had another one where he was coming in, and it was the running back that stepped up as a pass protector. And you saw Altmaier kind of step into the pocket, kind of see the Red Sea part, and was like, oh, I could probably maybe run here, gain a few yards on the ground. But Anthony did a phenomenal job of staying patient, crossing the running back's face, and securing a sack. Again, 3 sacks on the day, pretty darn solid. And even as a run defender, there were a couple of plays where he was in the action from the backside, in backside pursuit. So I think there's some stuff to like about when it comes to Vincent Anthony. He was a full-time starter last year, a former 4-star recruit. He was a full-time starter his freshman year. So he's going to be someone to watch out for. I was actually during my summer scouting, it was his teammate, the guy opposite of him, Wesley Williams, who I didn't get a chance to get to, but he actually made it on my watch list for the summer. But Anthony, might be someone to watch for moving forward. A couple of other guys that stood out, or at least I want to talk about in this game. Let's stick with Duke. Darren Manessa, the quarterback there, got a big NIL deal, was kind of the reason that Nico was like, oh, I want to get paid more money too. Eventually left Tennessee. But Manessa, I think the pocket presence needs to be a little bit better. He had that bad strip sack where he stepped up, rolled out, didn't feel the pressure coming from behind. It was actually Gabe Akis who had the forced fumble on that play. And I mean, turnovers killed Duke in this game. This game was a lot closer than the final score. But I thought the arm was on display. There were a couple of nice throws here and there. But yeah, there's some stuff he needs to clean up. I think there are the tools of a really good quarterback prospect. I came into the year pretty high on him. And I get it, he doesn't have the wheels or anything, but I think the arm is particularly pretty solid. Just needs to be a little bit more consistent. I think there needs to, I don't know if it's a chemistry thing with him and his receivers, but I still like him. I don't know if I day 2 like him. And I mean, I think he's got another year of eligibility, so he's probably going to stick around. And then Luke Altmaier, I know there's a crowd that's like really high on Altmaier. I didn't think he did anything outstanding in this game. I thought he just came in, ran the offense well, and just did his job. He just reminds me so much of Graham Mertz, and I just think that's the type of quarterback that he is. But this is the player everyone clicked on the video for. He's in the thumbnail. It's John Mateer out of Oklahoma. Coming in at 6'1", 224 pounds. Had a phenomenal game there in Norman versus Michigan, where he threw for over 260 yards. Had a touchdown through the air. He had 2 more on the ground, 75 yards rushing. And it really was a good game. He's a ridiculous athlete, right? Just rare start and stop ability for a quarterback. He had a really nice hole shot on, it was essentially a free play because I think there was a false start to Deion Burks, who we'll talk about in a sec. And I get it. I think there's quite a bit to like about John Mateer. Some of the notes I had here, he had a dot along the sideline to Deion Burks. with basically he was in the end zone with pressure in his face and he just delivers the football. The ball placement was here and there. If you go back to the interception, he kind of missed high and away, high and behind his wide receiver. Really ended up being his only bad play of the game. The deep shot could use a little bit more air under it. I think that was one of my things going into or coming out of the summer, because I did watch him this summer, where I said I wish I saw a little bit more touch on some of his passes. But yeah, I think he had a deep shot where if you put more under it, then it's a completion, but it ends up bouncing off the helmet of the defender. Defender didn't even get his head around. Just kind of defender base guarding the wide receiver. I did see him go through progressions, which was nice. But it was more so he was really only able to work half of the field. There was a case where if he was able to work the whole field, going from left to right, you would have saw wide open player in the flat, could just dumped it off there, probably for a first down. The sidearm release, again, mechanics. People bring up the mechanics when it comes to Mateer. Sidearm release, very low launch point when it comes to where he's releasing the football. It's going to lead to batted passes. He had one in this game, but I feel like there's going to be a big batted pass game somewhere once we start the SEC slate. But golly, he's so excited. He has to be a favorite for the Heisman, right? Let's see. I know he's going to get some first round love. I think there's enough there for me to put the brakes on. Let's see how he does through SEC play. Oklahoma does have a relatively difficult strength of schedule. But, I mean, if we're going to start, let's just throw some comps out there, because he throws with like one speed, lots of velocity, kind of gives you that Baker Mayfield feel, but also just has the quicks and just the mobility of like a Kyler Murray, just 20 pounds heavier. I can definitely see him succeed in kind of like what the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts. That would be kind of the type of offense I would build around him. Something where it's like you could take advantage of just his strong lower body, his athletic ability, and creating easy enough shots for him. Because I mean, if you look at Jalen Hurts just this past week, it was a Thursday night game. I think he only had one deep shot, ended up going for a completion. But if you just kind of make the pass game relatively easy for him, where it's like he just got to make the correct reads and just use his feet, then yeah. So Mateer is very, very fascinating in that regard. But we got to talk about Deion Burks, man. It's so nice to see him healthy, see him back. If you remember last year, I think he started the year off with a 3-touchdown game in 2024, but then eventually would go down with a soft tissue injury. I don't know if it was in the foot or in the leg, but he ends up only playing about 5 games. So this year, coming in, stay healthy, look healthy, but is he going to look athletic and twitchy? Because he is a smaller receiver, right? 5'9", 182. Yeah, the speed looked great. The acceleration looked great from Burks. So it gets you excited. I don't think he's someone that's going to get into that day one buzz, but certainly can get back into this day two conversation, just because he doesn't have the ideal height or size. I mean, yeah, okay, cool. He's plus 180. That's check, but being 5'9", you're gonna be limited. Typically, these elite wide receivers are gonna try to take in the first round. They're hovering around 5'10", 5'11", 185, 190. So he doesn't check that box, but I mean, certainly to take a day two shot on, yeah. So it was great to see. He looked twitched up. He had a nice hitch route for about 8 yards in scoring position. Then I think it was the same drive. He ended up getting the shuttle pass where he just turned on the jets, had that ball carrier vision, was able to get into the end zone. He had the 34-yard hole shot I previously mentioned with Mateer. So it was just nice to see Deion Burks back and healthy. He ends up going for 7 receptions for 101 yards and a tutty. Oklahoma's defense was nice in this ball game. Mason Thomas was good. Grayson Holton. That defensive front was consistently getting pressure in the face of Underwood and just made things very difficult. It's not like Michigan fell flat. I thought Jair Hill, who, hey, let's give him a shout out. He was benched last year, back here as the starter, and he's put up a couple of impressive games. I thought he looked good. He had almost had an interception where he just stayed with the play, got his hands on it, and I think it was Satania that was able to lay the hit and jar the ball loose. But yeah, no, Hill, watch out, man. Watch out. This is a very good athlete here who might get into that top 10 quarterback status. I mean, some people, I think, prior to the season had him as a potential first rounder, but it was like, okay, well, the guy was benched last year. Let's see him come back and add some nuance to his game because he's got all the athleticism in the world. We love the NFL draft, and now my draft guide is available for purchase. It comes with over 500 player backgrounds and close to 300 player evals. It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So when I add a new eval or I change my rankings, you're going to be the first to know. It's going to have all the pro day and combine numbers along with analytics, and it's a Google spreadsheet for right now. So you have to include your email with the purchase, but we will be switching over to a website at the end of the year. And if you get it now, it's going to be cheaper now than it will be later. It's a great way to support the channel. And as always, much appreciated, much obliged. So if you were with me during my streams, I made it very well known that the first game I was going to sit down and watch all 22 of was NC State versus Virginia because the running backs popped off and Hollywood Smothers had himself a day. 17 carries for 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also added 13 receiving yards, but he's 5'11", 195, former 4-star recruit out of the 2023 recruiting class. He started his career at Oklahoma, would redshirt, but then decide to transfer and go back closer to home because he is from Durham, North Carolina, and he goes to NC State where he started the final 6 games last season. Is the full-time starter this year. Had a really good game to open the year, and then this game was exceptionally solid from him. So I was very excited to go and watch him, and yeah, he looks every bit of 5'11", 195. He's got a slender build. That was the first thing I jotted down. Slender build, but fluid mover. I don't know if he's like a bursty athlete or like the fastest guy. I'm not saying he's slow or anything, but it's not like his acceleration or speed really stands out. But what does is just how fluid and how smooth he is, how he's able to make defenders miss in tight quarters. He's just hella shifty with really good vision, outstanding vision, good change of direction too. Once he sees the rush lane, he's like, okay, I'm going here. Bam. He's there in a second. Doesn't give the defenders a opportunity to really get a clean hit. He's able to keep his feet under himself to try to get extra yards. I think that was apparent on his first reception where he made one guy miss, spun around, made the other guy miss, and was able to get I think it was 7 or 8 yards. I will say in pass pro, he's slender. He's going to get ran through, but he's feisty. The fire, the want is there to be a good pass protector, but he's kind of limited to just trying to chop guys at the knees. But I really enjoyed what I got from Hollywood Smothers this past weekend. Let's stick to the same game, but we're jumping to Virginia. Running back Jamari Taylor coming in at 5'9", 204 pounds. He had 150 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, much like Hollywood Smothers. He also had 13 receiving yards. And I was going into Taylor's background. He was formerly a 0-star recruit from the 2020 recruiting class, starts his career at North Carolina Central, but didn't play the first 2 years because they canceled the 2020 season. So he got an extra year of eligibility, and then he redshirted 2021. But in 2022, he was a part of that rotation there. He made third-team all-conference. 2023, still a part of the rotation, but 2024 for North Carolina Central finally became the main back there and was a first-team all-conference, transfers as a graduate, and goes to Virginia, had a stellar game. I like, he's 5'9", So he plays with this nice low center of gravity. He will lower the shoulder, keeps his feet moving through contact. I think that was apparent on his first 2 touchdowns, where he just kind of like the second one, he just kind of marched his way through 2 defenders to get in. I think he's got solid acceleration once he sees the open field, but again, I don't think he's the type of athlete that's going to blow your socks off. But he's a good athlete, good launch speed, good acceleration, and I think you saw that on the 3rd touchdown where he was able to break away for the long score. He's going to be an older prospect, being from 2020, so probably be like 24. I don't know. I don't see him as a day 2 guy, but maybe somewhere in the day 3 conversation. We'll see, but him and Smothers have really kind of popped off in the first couple of games of the year. I think they're in like the top 10 in forced missed tackles. However, before we do move on, I want to give a shout out to NC State's left tackle there, Jakaris Peak, who anytime Smothers ran to the left side, that's where his big gains were coming. And Peak, with his build, 6'4", 308, might be more of a guard in the NFL. Haven't got to his tape. I think Alex from Hail Mary Sports watched him over the summer and came away with a very good impression of him. So maybe I'll sit down and do an actual watch and eval of him in the next few weeks. But I want to give a shout out to a couple of other running back performances. Jonah Coleman from Washington. You have Damon Claiborne from Wake Forest. They were facing some cupcake teams in UC Davis and I think it was Western Carolina, but they popped off. They had good performances. They're widely considered top 10 backs in this class. Coleman had 5 touchdowns. Claiborne, who got hurt in the season opener, so this was kind of his true season opener, I guess you could say. He almost went for 200 yards. So I wanted to give them some shout outs before we moved on. Before we get back to today's video, I got to talk about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. If you download the app and sign up using promo code BROSHMO, they match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. Now with the football season back, they have promos each and every day. It's the best place to play weekly best ball, or my favorite, higher or lower on player stats. If you want to get in on the fun, get in on the action, then download the app. Sign up using promo code BROSHMO. You can thank me later, but as always, play responsibly and play within your means. But we do have to move on, and I want to cover probably what was the game of the week, right? Baylor versus SMU, and Baylor wide receiver Josh Cameron had himself a day. 9 receptions for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's coming in at 6'1", 218 pounds. And he made my summer watch list prior. I just didn't get a chance to watch him. So this was kind of my, I guess you could say this is my second introduction to him, though. It's not like he really had a big pivotal role in the Auburn game, but he definitely did in this game. And he wears 34. Looking for him on the field, and it's like, oh, you got this running back number. But at 6'1", 218 pounds, he's actually got good length, good long frame, and big catch radius. Good speed. I really like the acceleration out of his breaks. But probably the thing that I liked most was the release package. He's so quick twitch off the release, like on the first touchdown reception he had. He was just able to kind of like get the corner to bait inside leverage, and he just goes out around him on the sideline. Sawyer Robertson had a nice little hole shot there. And on a side note, Sawyer Robertson, I covered him last week, talked about how the ball placement could have been better against Auburn. So much better in this game. I see why people talk about him as a dark horse to be a first-round quarterback prospect. I don't know if I'll be there, but I think I want to go back and actually give him a good watch. But then again, I might just let the season play out and watch him week by week rather than just going back to last year's tape with him. But when it came to Cameron, we talked about the first touchdown. Let's talk about the second touchdown, where he basically played the ball better than the defender, both defenders. One defender still had his back to the ball. I think it was the safety that was trying to come up to make a play. Cameron grabs it, and then proceeds to back up into the end zone with the defenders draped all over him, like 5 yards. So he's strong. He's a strong boy. He's a former 0-star, but decided to walk on at Baylor. So really cut his teeth to get into the starting lineup. And if you were with me for the Oklahoma-Michigan stream, after I was ending the stream, I was like, hey, Todd McShay's gone live. Y'all should go check him out. And Todd McShay was talking about Josh Cameron. Now, some people might have him as a top 100 prospect. They just want to see him be more consistent on the week-to-week basis. So, hey, I liked what I saw from him. We might have a guy here in the wide receiver class. We might have a guy. But we got to talk about some defense. So I'm going to be talking about David Gusta at a Kentucky defensive tackle. Plays a lot of nose tackle there at Kentucky. He's 6'3", 317 pounds. He had 4 pressures. He had a pass rush win rate of 25%. Absolutely stunning. He actually played most of his career. He was a former 3-star recruit out of the 2021 recruiting class. Played 4 years at Washington State. Decided to transfer. He's here at Kentucky and playing really, really well. I was watching the tape and he's not, I know he plays a lot of nose tackle. He's not a traditional space eater. He's quick off the snap. He wants to be a penetrator. On the hit of Austin Simmons, the Ole Miss quarterback, it was just a nice club rip move on the guard. And then he was able to close that distance and lay a nasty hit on the quarterback. And mind you, that snap, he wasn't even prepared for. He was standing up, still like figuring out the play call along with the rest of the Kentucky defense. But he showed good strength, good leverage. He was able to knock back guards and centers consistently in that game. I don't know if this is a consistent thing with him because, again, this is my first watch of him. But I don't know if he's just not asked to play a lot of contain. Maybe that's just something Kentucky's defense does. He wasn't keeping contain. I'm gonna go back on to some of his film, maybe his Washington State film, to really get a gist of this and see how he was utilized. But I'm kind of wondering, are you more of just a pass rusher that if you are going to be a run defender, you need to be used as a penetrator? I will say, though, he was effectively neutralized by double teams in this game, but I thought it was a big outing for him. And then we have Jake Golday, linebacker out of Cincinnati, 6'4", 237 pounds. He was all over the field for the Bearcats against Bowling Green, 10 tackles, 7 stops. Again, that stop is a PFF metric. It's like a tackle for loss, but they also include plays resulting in no gain. But he had 3 pressures and a sack. Very gifted athlete. Again, kind of all over the field. Didn't really see too much in terms of like coverage. Like, this is your standard linebacker in coverage. But he was formerly a 0-star recruit who started his career at Central Arkansas. Became an 8-game starter last year with Cincinnati. Now he's the full-time starter. And it's important to note that he made Bruce Feldman's freaks list, because Bruce Feldman has a knack for finding these freaks who rise up draft boards. And I think Golday might be one of them. Looking at just some of the stuff he was recorded this past spring, a 4.24 second shuttle time, 10-foot, 7-inch broad jump. That would have been second at the combine this past year for the linebacker position. 24 reps on the bench press at 225 pounds. He has a max bench of 365 pounds. He's been recorded to go 22 miles per hour on the field. Oh, man, watch out. I can't wait to see him in some of the bigger games this year, and could be a riser in what's seemingly feeling like a very stacked linebacker class. And I'm not joking when I say it's stacked. The next player on this list, Isaiah Glasker out of BYU, had himself a game. He's coming in, I have him down as 6'5", 235 pounds. BYU has him closer to 240. There's some I have a little curiosity in me. I was like, oh, he keeps adding some weight. I think he could be an edge player because I think BYU's leaning more into playing him as an edge player. I mean, he's still playing coverage, so you could be kind of this hybrid 3-4 edge in the NFL. But 4 tackles, 4 pressures, 3 defensive stops, a sack. I think he was targeted 5 times in coverage, only allowed 3 receptions for 17 yards. So very much kind of a minimal gain guy in coverage, just kind of a solid spot dropper who's got really good length that could clog passing lanes. I thought he did a good job of setting the edge as a run defender, but I want to lean into what he can maybe be as a pass rusher because he's got a long build. He can add more mass if you need him to. That first step in closing speed is nasty. He had a blindside sack on Stanford's quarterback where he was just there in an instant. I don't know if it ended up being ruled as a fumble, but he knocked that quarterback down. I don't know if the ball jarred or the ground jarred it loose, so it might have been a no fumble. I didn't see a forced fumble on his analytics, but golly, it was a nasty hit. He also had this was in run defense, where I think Stanford was at the 3 or the 5 yard line, so goal line situation, and he just gets back there and it hits the running back in the backfield. Doesn't secure the tackle. So I think missed tackles were kind of a thing with him last year, 16.3% missed tackle rate last year. Doesn't secure the tackle, but does enough to stop and force a big loss there. The actual pass rush toolbox, kind of a question mark, because really his wins here came either unblocked or, hey, I'm super fast, I'm just gonna run right by you. And in my draft guide, which hey, you already saw the promo for that sucker, I have him as a chess piece. And holy guacamole, yeah, this dude's a chess piece. However, with the good comes the bad, and Sam Leavitt did not have a good game at Mississippi State. Arizona State would be upset by Mississippi State. The cowbell was just too much. But yeah, the quarterback there for Arizona State coming in at 6'2", 210 pounds. I believe he's got another year of eligibility and honestly might end up needing it. Because listen, I like the tools. I really do like the tools. I think he's got a solid arm. He's got really good mobility. That was kind of on display in this game. And he's just a gamer. But in this game, goes 10 of 23 for 82 yards, 2 interceptions, 46 rushing yards though. And let's just talk about the tail of the tape. What happened in this game? So Arizona State ended up running the ball about 49 to 50 times in this game compared to 23 pass attempts. Jordan Tyson made up over 50% of the passing volume. I think he ended up having like 11 targets in this game. And in the second half, Kenny Dillingham took the ball essentially out of Leavitt's hands, at least when it came to passing the football. They just passed the ball 7 times. There were 7 pass attempts in the second half. They leaned way more on the run and got back into the game. Leavitt only had a 50% adjusted completion percentage. Again, adjusted completion percentage takes out throwaways, drops, spikes. Kind of gives you the truest sense of how accurate the quarterback was on the day. Not good, 50%. Listen, the dude is a gamer and he made some big runs in this game. He really did. He also took some nasty hits. Is there an injury going on? I don't know. He looked healthy when running the football. There's something going on with the arm because, yeah, Lee, it wasn't great. It didn't look great. If you go to that first interception, it was an ugly throw. Nobody was in the vicinity. It was on a 3rd and 18, so maybe you're trying to make a play. You got to get a big chunk of yards. But your throw, really, nobody in the area outside of the defender. Not a great throw. The protection, let's not pretend like the protection was good. It wasn't. Mississippi State was getting after it. Leavitt had to consistently vacate the pocket. But not a good showing. Like quickly, I'm looking at this, and I mean, dude, Leavitt could turn it around. You really can. But I'm looking at this like, feel like you probably should return to school for another year. And we're only 2 games in. So again, opinions can change. And then the final prospect I want to talk about was involved in the other upset. Florida being taken down in the swamp by South Florida. And I want to talk about their quarterback, Byrum Brown. He's coming in at 6'3", 232 pounds. He goes 22 for 35 for over 230 yards. He had a touchdown through the air. He added 69 yards on the ground. Nice. And real quick background on him before I really actually get into him, because this was my first impression of him was this game. He's a former 3-star recruit from the 2022 recruiting class. He was a 4-year starter at quarterback in high school. He did track and field growing up, mainly doing the javelin, kind of credits the javelin for his, I guess you would call it arm talent, arm strength. And he redshirts his freshman year, but he did get 2 starts during that redshirt year. Was the full-time starter in 2023, where he just set numerous records for South Florida. He was also the Raycon Bowl MVP versus Syracuse. Last year, he got hurt because of breaking his leg, so he only played the first 6 games. Coming back this year, and again, this is my first impression of him. The only person I've really seen talk about Brown prior to the season was Nate Tice from Yahoo Sports. And he had him as a potential top 50 player. And I think a lot of that had to do with tools and upside, because he's got great size. He's a very gifted athlete for the quarterback position. Really good escapability. That was on display in this game. Sturdy body, can take some hits, can absorb contact, stay up. He's got a rail gun for an arm. Yeah, he did the javelin. No kidding. He could put that sucker on a rope. He throws with so much velocity. The accuracy is all over the place, though. Golly, he had some bad misses in this game. I think his adjusted completion percentage was 64.7%. And straight up, I think under pressure, the accuracy not just falls off a cliff, it's non-existent. He only had 1 completion on the 10 times he was under pressure, under distress. So I see the tools in Brown. I see the tools, but listen, he's a redshirt junior. I think he's 6th round, probably for another year. I see the tools, great size, big arm. I need to see him be more consistent. But like I said, that was my first impression of Brown. And maybe that'll change as the year goes on. We're doing things a little reverse. I'm going to have my mock draft out tomorrow. I want my mock draft tomorrow to be this overreaction to week 1 in the NFL. And we got 2 games tonight, so I figured I'll just do that on Tuesday. We'll be back to mock draft Monday next week, though. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who were some prospects that really impressed you or maybe let you down this past week? Let me know in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead and do that YouTube thing. But as always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later.